Hey, what's up guys, my name is Kai. Recently, Business Insider made a video about why Hasselblad cameras are so expensive. And to be honest, I don't know much about Hasselblad cameras, so I'm really curious about what this video is going to tell us. And actually the first time I've ever heard about Hasselblad's camera is because of an advertisement of the masterclass of a legendary photographer called Annie Leibovitz. And I got hit by one of her masterclass advertisement. You know, I really like her photography, so I just watched through the whole ad. So at one point in the video, she actually said that she's not a very technical photographer, and she kind of made fun about people who ask, you know, oh, what cameras you're using.
I'm so not a technical photographer. What camera are you using?
So what camera would she be using? Literally after she made that comment, they cut to a scene where she's taking photos, and I saw her using a camera that I've never seen before. So I did some research, and it turns out that the camera that she's using costs like $34,000 or something like that, and you know, I was blown away. So yeah, like if you're using a $34,000 camera, you don't need to be a technical person. This is literally how I learned about Hasselblad camera. So yeah, jokes aside, she's an amazing photographer. But anyways, let's get into that video.
Do you recognize this photo? What about these? They were all taken with a Hasselblad camera.
Yeah, I knew about
It's a name every photographer knows. But if you wanted to buy this Hasselblad camera, you'd need over $30,000. And that doesn't even include the lens. So why would anyone pay so much for a camera? And what makes Hasselblads so expensive? To understand why people love Hasselblad cameras, it helps to look at this image. If you zoom way in, you can see incredible detail. The photos are fantastic, but it's a little more complicated than that.
By the way, I do know that Hasselblad cameras, they're famous for making medium format sensors. That's why, you know, they can zoom in so much in their photos.
Hasselblad has been making cameras for 80 years, but they weren't always this expensive. In 1948, Hasselblad's first consumer camera cost around $500, or about $5,900 today. And, adjusted for inflation, its film cameras from the 70s cost around $5,300. But when the company transitioned to digital, the price exploded. In 2004, Hasselblad's first digital camera sold for around $24,000. That was more than a 200% price increase from its previous model, which used film. Okay, so it's expensive, but what actually makes this camera different? Hasselblad's high-end cameras consist of three main parts: the digital back, the body, and the lens. Just the digital back, which includes the sensor, costs over $26,000.
The Hasselblad sensor is unique in a way that it's much larger in an area.
Sorry for interrupting. Like, I do know also that Sony make Hasselblad sensor, as far as I know. And you know, Sony makes sensor for everyone basically. But if Hasselblad sensor is made by Sony, then why is it still expensive? But anyway, let's just watch the video.
The individual pixel is bigger, and that provides lower noise and wider dynamic range.
Take a look at this photo of a motorcycle. When you zoom in, you can clearly see the texture of the handle and the wear on its tires. Larger sensors capture more detail, and Hasselblad's is one of the biggest available. Its cameras are what's called medium format. Basically, it means the sensor is big, and it's what makes these cameras so expensive. Your smartphone camera sensor is around this big. A popular professional camera, like the Sony a7R, is much larger. But it looks tiny compared to Hasselblad's sensor.
When medium format technology transitioned from analog to digital, the medium format sensors became extremely expensive, and the camera systems became extremely expensive and very niche.
The sensor in this camera is actually made by Sony, but Hasselblad has its own proprietary calibration process to achieve the colors and image quality it wants.
It's very useful for the skin tones or the reproduction of the artwork and so on, where you really need to make sure that the colors you have in real life are the ones that will end up later in the photographs.
Medium format cameras are mainly used for product and fashion photography, as well as art reproduction. Photographers who need this type of specialized technology can't use off-the-shelf consumer cameras. And these shoots usually take place in a studio where the camera's bulky size isn't an issue. But there's another factor that makes Hasselblad cameras unique. Unlike other companies, Hasselblad doesn't mass produce its cameras. It makes them in small batches assembled by hand. This is partly because Hasselblad doesn't make that many cameras.
So I guess one of the reasons why it's so expensive is it's kind of like a handmade camera. It's not even like manufactured by factory. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of parts where it's like made by machine, but as you can see, most of the part is made by people directly, handmade to be exact. So maybe that's why it's expensive, and like the color accuracy that they have and all that stuff.
Hasselblad doesn't disclose exactly how many cameras it makes, but in 2018, The Verge reported that Hasselblad's yearly production was under 10,000 units. Other manufacturers like Canon produce millions of cameras each year. But this process also ensures that each camera meets Hasselblad's quality standards. Hasselblad assembles its cameras here in Gothenburg, Sweden. Remember this old photo? Production today looks pretty similar. Its facility is more like a lab than an assembly line.
I know that's not working well because of the click.
So as you can see, they're so precise in their manufacture that they even know what is wrong just by listening to the sound. You know, that's how careful and detailed they are.
When you charge $30,000 for a camera, quality control is a top priority, and assemblers take their job very seriously.
The whole process requires a lot of patience. You will end up learning to be very careful while mounting these tiny parts. Otherwise, you will run into different issues afterward while testing the camera.
Assemblers complete a camera in around 6 to 8 hours, but calibration can take up to a third of that time.
What's unique about Hasselblad cameras is that each sensor is individually calibrated and tested to a single pixel level, which is very time consuming and quite unlike in this industry.
This is like so high end. Like I didn't expect that they calibrate every single camera one by one. It's almost like a, how do I say, it's like a high end fashion brand where each bag is sewed by a specific person, and then they test the bag and all of that stuff.
In the past few years, Hasselblad has released more affordable cameras, around $6,000. These cameras have a smaller sensor compared to other, more expensive models. But competition in this price range is steep. Sony's latest Alpha 1 camera costs a bit more, but it can shoot 8K video and has super fast autofocus. And while the sensors on cheaper cameras aren't as large, those cameras pack more features that appeal to a wide range of photographers. Hasselblad says that it's working to introduce more entry-level, medium-format cameras, but that it will continue to support its high-end customers.
I do know that some smartphone company actually work with Hasselblad, as far as I know. So it's the OnePlus 9 Pro. If you want to own a Hasselblad camera and you cannot afford those, then you can get a OnePlus 9 Pro.
And for many photographers who need uncompromising image quality, this Hasselblad continues to be worth the price.
So I guess I can kind of understand why it is expensive, mainly because everything is like handmade. But I wonder if all of these calibration and these assembling can be automated. I wonder. I don't know, it might be very ignorant to say that. Let's say that you decide to automate Hasselblad cameras. How bad could it be compared to a human-made Hasselblad camera? So yeah, let me know what you guys think about it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.